I'm ready.
Alright. Additionally, something I would like to add is I liked what they did with the lighting accompanied by the sound. Whenever we could see that Nesta was having a panic attack of sorts, the lights were dimmed to a more purplish color, was it?
Purplish while flashing.
Yeah, and also it was accompanied by a heartbeat sound to really show that he was having a panic attack. He wasn't really confident in himself to perform in front of the audience. He got nervous, but you can continue.
And as the nervousness faded, the lights returned to normal slowly to show that he got better over time. Second, what I noticed is the entrance of BK. The lights were dimmed red. Red in our culture, in Jamaican culture, can signify good or bad. But in the case of Nesta's Rock, it was for Nesta, but to emphasize the A because that's a really funny part they brought out in the play as well. Nesta's Rock. Ta. Alright, Nesta. The entrance of BK, the lights were dimmed red as I said, to showcase badness. To showcase bad and her theme. Would you emphasize more about her costume?
Well, accompanied by the lights, they put BK in like a big, you can say like a boss-like costume. She was in full red from her, you can say from her big hat to her shoes. That really signified that she's like, yeah, she's powerful. You can see the power was signified through the jewelry, showed that she had a lot of wealth. Yeah, she was very flashy, and even her makeup, she had red blush on her cheeks. You can say that kind of represented her as a very angry person because red signifies anger because you can, for example, using a red cloth to make a bull angry. You can say that. So the costume kind of really showed her attitude without even allowing her to speak.
Additionally, I would also like to add, I think I noticed that I also really liked that they did in the play. Whenever Big K was exiting the stage, she had a slight red glow in her eyes. I don't know if many of the audience noticed that, but I really like that. That really showed that she was the main antagonist. She was evil of sorts. But that's what I would like to add to that as well. But we've heard about lighting, but what about the acting of the characters? Does anyone like to?
Alright, then I'll go ahead. Okay, so the acting throughout the play Nest Rock, Nesta's Rock, it was Nesta Rock. It was very good. However, I would like being someone who has seen a couple productions myself. I would like to add that the acting of most of the cast was rather average, and it even had like what some may see as like an amateurish touch to it, which I think added to the performance. However, I wouldn't say that this carried over for everybody because the acting of Nancy and the farmer, I think his name was Odin, was it? Odin, was it? Correct. And even the little girl who ran her own concession stall, their acting was very professional and they carried on a lot. Shout out to Pork Chop and Higgins, was it?
Higgins.
Yeah. Phenomenal, I have to say. Also throughout, you could see that the energy was carried through, but during dance numbers, you could see that people who were playing major roles, some of them lacked energy, and while it wasn't obvious, it was still present. The entrance of certain characters, such as BK as we spoke, it was very grand. You could see that even the way how she walked, she would like, because she had on like a red jacket, like vest thing, she would like swing it around to like, it was like showing presence in some sense. We also see this in Waganansi with the spider webs. There was a part where he had a bit of a dance number and he had the spider webs and he flung them around, swung them.
Also to add upon that, one thing I noticed in the background when they were talking about Wakanaz, you could see him lurking in the background as that relates to him saying he's everywhere at once. He's always there, showing his presence really. So I really like that they did that within the play. But continue.
Yeah, as I was saying, right? So, as my classmates before, I'm going to reiterate that he had a very big presence, and you could tell because Gwaganansi in this story, as Luan said, is a bit of like a fairy godfather who helps to guide Nest upon his journey throughout the play. And what we also see here is that when the play just starts off, everybody is calling Nesta, and it puzzles him through the whole play as to why they keep adding the A, because he knows himself as Nest, which is before the fame. However, as we go down, he realizes why they call him Nesta, because it's like a bit of a roll on the tongue. Instead of saying Nesta, oh, Nesta, it's a bit of a Jamaican thing to add like an A to a name, right? It's like a drag out part of the name.
Yeah, I'd like to also add, in terms of acting, the character Higgins and like Porkchop, they really added to the comedic part of the play, which is the comedy enhances the feel and helps the audience to get the purpose of a play, gets the overall message right. And through this comedy, I was able to get the message while enjoying the play simultaneously.
I didn't mean to put it, but you can adding to the comedy, the way how Higgs and Porkchop were dressed, you can really tell that they were like mainly there for comedy because Higgs, well, you can say that everybody was dressed appropriately, but Higgs, his tie was all about the place. He had a hat, I think.
It was
a hat.
sideways,
It was sideways, he didn't have it on right. Porkchop always have a piece of pork with him.
And the cat that's
And the stance and salty.
So that really brought out each of the characters, because Porkchop, when you see him without anybody calling his name, you would know that his name is Porkchop because you always see him with the pork. And then Higgs, you can really tell that he's a coward because the way we can see his gestures and stuff, body language, you can tell that he's afraid of Big K. He's always soaking up to Big K.
Yeah, he's so sufficient.
Yeah. So you can continue.
Okay, so as my classmates just said, the comedic touch also helped to bring out the play, because when my class and I we heard the name of the play, we assumed it was going to be more historical, in the sense that it wouldn't have had any form of comedic touch to it, because exactly. However,
I would also like to add, doing my research, I found that a lot of critics said they don't really like the musical aspect that they did to Nesta Rock. They thought it would be more of a historical piece, as you said. But I personally, I really liked the musical piece. It really tied it to, it really grabbed my attention more than the historical piece would, because sitting through a historical piece like that, I wouldn't be as interested in the play, as I would be in Nesta Rock. Nesta Rock had beautiful song, choreography, a lot of attention-grabbing moments.
Well, as
that
I
we
said,
saw.
it could attract a certain type of audience, but the audience that was present, I don't think
They
it
would
would
have appreciated
they would
the
have
fairy
watched it
tale
as
more
much
than
because it was a younger audience at the time.
And I think, speaking upon the audience it would attract, I think that because of the name Nesta Rock, a lot of like critical critiques really would go to the play thinking about like, okay, I'm going to watch a really historical and serious piece about Nesta Marley. When in reality it's more of a jovial and joyous kind of piece really.
Right.
So I think that's why a lot of the critics don't really like, but I for one really like the musical aspects of Nesta Rock.
Alright, let me share a point on the music. Nesta,
Sorry.
as in the play, Nesta, during certain scenes where like, let's use this as an example, not without spoiling too much. There was violence happening, like it was a bit of an aggravated scene, and the use of the music simmered down while the beautiful choreography and the dances, it really helped to bring the situation together, like telling the people to calm down with the use of the music.
okay. So as they said, this play really did have a unique twist to the story, Nesta Rock, and we all understand how it's not for everybody because really and truly, when the character of Sir K was introduced, it had me wondering how, right? Because as you said, we went looking for a very historically accurate play which wouldn't have much comedy in it, if any. So what I also like what one of my classmates talked about was also the music. The music, it was, you would have to know the story of Bob Marley to really get the music references because if you do your research you'll realize that reggae at one point was in a bit of a drought phase. And what happened was that a lot of reggae artists, they ended up migrating overseas to take on the music career over there. And what they found was that they weren't allowed into jazz clubs, however, of course they still love jazz. So when they moved back to Jamaica for reggae, this jazz essence was still carried over into reggae music as we know it today. And this jazz music was also used throughout the play with some jazz moves, jazz dance moves, and jazz songs. So they were very unique, very subtle references to the historical uprising of Bob Marley and the music that helped to cultivate it. So coming off of that subject, we also have the stage direction of the play. So,
Alright, so for stage direction, it's like it has a lot to the stage direction has a lot to do with the visual composition of the characters, right? So in many instances, characters would be equally spaced across the scene. So this would help them a lot because it allows the audience to adequately enjoy the play in equally, but in a lot of times it draws the attention of the audience in different places that creates a kind of visual contrast because one person can focus at too much things at the same time. So with all these characters spread across the stage equally, it's kind of hard for the audience to get the necessary message, right? But in sometimes when in the first scenes, the earlier scenes, when chaos is necessary for the scene to work, it plays really, really, right? I'd like to cover also blocking. Blocking is essentially when a character stands in front of another character, or if a prop is in front of a character, it's essentially like blocking, right? So, at first glance, blocking could be seen to be a bad thing, right? If a character is blocking another character, but personally, I feel like in this play they made it work because, let's say, for example, the character of Big K, she would oftentimes block other characters with her powerful message, and I feel like this is necessary as it draws the reader's attention to a character that has something to say or a character that is more important in the scene. It draws the reader's attention, the audience's attention.
To add to that, even Big K's group,
Exactly.
they had a big sign, so every time they came around, they blocked off everybody, so you only could see the Big K sign. So you can come
in reference to that BK sign, while they entered as well, the light, it covered over them mostly, like the background would be lightly dimmed and a bright light will just be around the persons that are freshly entering the scene.
so you can focus on them.
Yeah.
Alright, in addition, the exiting off stage and on stage of some of the characters, it was very efficient and fluid, right? So you don't want too much characters on the stage blocking up the passageways and blocking up the movement of the stage, right? You can't have too much on stage at once. So with characters effectively entering and exiting the stage, it made us, the readers, enjoy the play a lot more. The audience.
To add upon what my colleague said, another thing I really like and the effort they put toward is the props. Now, we couldn't really see much effort really in the props at the 9 Mile scene as we were just Kane and Crops really, but it really showed out when we reached the Kingston town where you had the different vendor stalls and you also had a big clock tower that was present in the scene. Another thing I also like, the multi-purpose one of the stalls to use in another scene, I don't know if you remember, but they used anti-stall for Big K's headquarters.
Yeah.
When it turned around, you could see that it was multi-purpose.
They put it on a flat.
They put it on a flat, exactly. So the multi-purpose to use as not only the anti-star but also for big K's headquarters as well. But,
One thing I like to add was I liked how some of the props were accessible because there was one scene where Parker and Nancy he came to this and he was doing like this whole dance routine and then I saw him enter the clock and went up to the top of the clock. So I was saying that I wasn't really expecting for him to go all the way up there because I thought it was just
a hollow prop.
Yeah, I thought it was just probably like it was just there, but it was accessible. Yeah.
Alright, so the visual composition was really good in most of the drama, but I'd like to say that there are some instances where the stage wasn't used as effectively as it should have been. Like there are some cases where you'd have a lot of characters just on one side of the left side of the stage when the right side of the stage was more empty, and for the audience on the right side, in the right side of the theater, that could seem a bit monotonous and like it's just a waste of all that stage space and a waste of the potential they could have brought in with that stage.
Let me cut you real quick, sorry. Even though Nesta Rock is a really Nesta Rock is a really well produced drama. It did have its flaws. Now and again, we did have a few acting mishaps, you would say, as well as lighting mishaps and audio. There are a few instances where the audio malfunctioned, but I will say that the cast professionally played it off. They couldn't really notice it if you were like a regular audience member, not really paying attention to those aspects of the play, really. But looking at the finer details, you will realize and notice that there were some malfunctions throughout. But I would say it's a very well produced and like made out play. The audio was very good. They made use of the audio at very crucial stages. You could really see it at random moments where for the start of the play, for example, where Nest was chattering with his friends, you could hear a car driving past and they were interested in the car. You could see them looking out and say, that's a nice car. I don't remember the exact words, but yeah, you could hear that also. A scene I remember is when they were at Kingston Town, where two vendors, or two bystanders really, were fighting over a t-shirt and you could hear the rip. And I really think that there was a really you could see that they were really thinking about adding the aspect of sound really to really help the production reach the next level. I also really like the vocals of the Three Little Birds. They were a crucial part and their vocals were like absolutely incredible.
Stunning.
I think that was one of my favorite parts of the play, really. The Three Little Birds, their vocals were really incredible. It really kept me on my seat and also kept me interested throughout the entire play. So that's one thing I really liked about it as well.
Alright, so something I wouldn't expect a lot of people to notice was the use of the smoke screen. In a lot of instances, a lot of scenes, the use of the smoke screen but it really helped us as the audience to immerse into the story and what they were trying to tell us. But I feel like just because they had a smoke screen, they used it too much in some cases, which really made it lose its meaning overall. Alright, so I'd like to, with all that being said, I don't think it.
I think I have one more point. I think that like the last scene, the use of the props, they kind of use like there was a stage for the reggae rockstar competition. The regulation of the stage, like the moving of the stage, it kind of moved everyone's attention to like this when he was confronting BK, and after confronting BK, he received the chance to play his song with his guitar, and he stepped onto the stage. That part was like the peak moment of the play because you can see that he's a star, and the way the prop was used, he had to step above everyone to show like importance or something. But after he was singing, he kind of stepped down to like integrate himself with everybody to show that like he's one with the people and he's not above anybody. So that was very important to me.
Right. I also felt that in some cases, the visual hierarchy of the characters was well planned and well thought out. Like there are some cases where, for example, Nesta was on a bench, right, and there are characters below him and there are characters above him. That excites the eye and like really helps us as the audience to enjoy the play way more. So
You know, added to the what was it? The red rot.
Yeah.
The use of the canes. We saw the canes on the people's head, and they were going around. So you can obviously see that it was like reaping time at the moment, because people walking with canes. You had neighbors giving the farmer roots. They put the canes in a pile and stuff, and then there was a scene where the red rot came, like it came to life. Like everyone realized that like stuff were going bad now. The use of the strings in the cane that really brought out, like, you can see that something was wrong with the cane because it looked different from everything. I don't know how they got the strings on the cane, 'cause I didn't see it before because all the canes were normal, and then somehow they brought out like something to enhance like how the cane looked. So that was like a really good touch.
Alright, so I'd like to conclude on the drama Nesta Rock, right? So, in conclusion, it was a really good play. I really felt like the use of sound design and lighting, it really enhanced the feeling of liveliness they wanted to bring across, and also acting and visual composition. These two, they also helped. They were very well planned, and they were obviously practiced because they showed us really well. They displayed it and portrayed it really well. And to continue on this point, I really felt that the drama Nesta Rock. I really felt that the drama Nesta Rock was a really good fairy tale. It had a really dominant fairy tale element, and it wasn't as historical as we thought it was going to be. However, I'd like to say that in some cases, obviously, the sound design and maybe the smoke element also, it didn't come across as well as they wanted to. But despite all this, I think the play did really well, and I felt like it really connected with us, the younger audience, and even some members of the older audience.
Alright, so this has been Smile Literature. I'm your host, Brandon Neal. These are my co-hosts, and that will be all for today.